Hi there, I'm Professor Jurus, and I just wanted to make you a quick video and talk a little bit about simple portrait composition. In this video, we're just going to be talking about composition and not lighting, so I want to make that understood. This photograph that you're seeing right now resembles some of the photographs that I saw in class the other day that some students were taking, so I wanted to make a quick video to show you compositionally where you should arrange or how you should arrange a portrait when you're making one. One of the nice things about digital photography is that you can actually crop very easily in Photoshop, so a lot of us, I think, sometimes use that as a crutch and don't really pay attention to composition. I personally grew up using film and using a view camera for most of my photography, so every time I set up a composition, I spent a lot of time thinking about it and looking through the ground glass and arranging things exactly the way I wanted them, because once I took a picture, I had it then on film. And again, you lose quality when you're cropping. Even with digital, you lose pixels, so it's important to try to shoot in the camera exactly what you want. So this portrait, again, is not really a good composition. The head is way too low in this. Now I'm going to show you an example of another portrait where I use a composition like this, but I use it with some stuff up here in the top in the negative space, in this empty space that's up here. But for the most part, this is not what you want to do in a portrait. This is a much better example of the compositional arrangement that you want to have when you're working with a portrait, and I'm going to show you them next to each other here in a minute. But again, notice I filled up the frame more. My shoulders almost go all the way across the frame. My eyes are above the center line of the picture, so I have it up there, and I have just a little bit of space on top of my head. Now I'll show you another example right here. Where I've actually come in even closer, and this is okay too, but see, I want to have a little bit of space up at the top, and when I'm doing a 3/4 or a head and shoulder type of portrait, I want to try to, fill in kind of around the whole shoulders. Now 3/4, you can have a little bit of space on both sides of the shoulders showing, like the background and so forth, but for the most part you want to like move in. So here we go to this one here again, and then here we go to this. And again, remember, I'm not looking at the lighting in these. I just shot this against the wall in my dining room. I turned the room light on, so it's a light up above. So that's the reason you don't see catch lights. And there's all three of them. And then here's a comparison with all three portraits. And I think the one I actually like the best is the center one. I think this one for me is a little bit too close. This one I think works well as far as the composition goes. And every person that you photograph would be different. And again, this is not really for a portrait. Like if you were doing a portrait of somebody for a job assignment, this is really not the kind of portrait you'd want over here on the left. But if you were doing a portrait and there was something else involved back here, like a photo I'm going to show you, then you could see the difference in why that would work, if you have something going on back here. But with nothing going on, it really doesn't work as a good portrait. Okay, so here's an example of where having the head down below center works in the composition. This is a self-portrait I did years ago, and you can see it's on film. I shot this with a Hasselblad 500 cm, and if you notice back here, this is like kind of a reference to a dog, and all this information that I have back here on the wall actually works with the photograph. And this has been a very successful photograph for me. When I used to enter it in shows, I won a few prizes. At the Ohio Art League, the Columbus Art League show, I won a first place in photography with this print. So it's a very successful print. I like it a lot as a self-portrait. But I just wanted to show it to show you that you can have people lower in the frame as long as you have other things going on within the picture. But if it's a plain background, sometimes it really doesn't work. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to show you is kind of like how you should divide your frame. You generally want to, again, try to have the head above the center of the photograph in making a portrait, and also try to have the center like right on your nose. So this one's actually a little bit off. The photograph would have been a little bit better if my face would have been a little bit more to the right. Although when you do that, then you would see that down here that I would be cutting off my hand. So if I would have actually moved my hand in closer to the center of the photograph and then had the vertical line going directly through the center of my nose, that would be even a stronger photo. But this photo is fairly close, and you know, as long as you're getting this line on your head, I think you're doing a good job. One other thing that's important in the photos, and I didn't really do it a lot in the first ones I showed you, but is to have one of the shoulders slightly back and another shoulder slightly forward. So that you're not just flat across like a mugshot, like a picture you'd get at the driver's license bureau. So you want to try to like push one shoulder back and bring another one forward, and then the shoulder that's forward is the shoulder that where you would tilt your chin toward. So you'd be tilted toward that way rather than looking over this way. You'd want the chin going the same way that the shoulder is going forward, or the front shoulder. And if I take the lines off of the portrait, then you can see just the way that the actual portrait works. And again, this was a very successful photograph for me, done in the early 90s. And here's another portrait that I did, and this one's actually done with a 4x5 view camera, like you're going to be doing with your assignments for the studio class in your final portfolio. So this was a 4x5 portrait, a portrait done with the 4x5 view camera. The negative is actually on 4x5 film, and then I scanned in the print after I made a print. So again, a very successful picture for me, but notice the way the line cuts directly down the center through the nose, so that the head is centered within the picture. We have a little bit of space at the top of the head. The shoulders and the head are above the center line going this way. And if I turn the lines off again, there we can see what the final picture looks like. And I actually do print this one in platinum, so it's quite a beautiful portrait when it's done that way. So that's all I have for you on this. I just wanted to make this a simple little video to help you try to start to work on things. So, you know, having an iPhone or having a cell phone too, it's a good idea to maybe start shooting pictures of yourself every day. If when you get up in the morning, if you shoot a couple pictures, or you shoot a couple pictures when you get to work, when you're downtown at lunch, or you're someplace, try to do a couple self-portraits of yourself. And it's basically an exercise in working on composition. And then when you get home at night, you can start to look at them and see how you arrange things. And once you start to do that, and you start to see which pictures look better for you and stuff, then when you go to take pictures of people and other subjects, you can easily you know, use those same things that you learned on those portraits, and that'll help you out a lot. Okay, enjoy.